Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I'm really glad that you are checking in with me right now. I'm Sira Williams. I'm the children's librarian here at the Red Bank Public Library, and this is our program called Family Story Times on Race and Diversity. It's March 2021. That means it's Women's History Month, so we're going to be talking about some trailblazing women today. And I want us to start by thinking about some of the roles that women play in our society today. So women can be mothers, they can be daughters and sisters and friends and wives. Women are caretakers and nurturers. They are workers in all different kinds of professions. They can be teachers and educators. Women are innovators and makers and trailblazers, and that means they are leaders. And women have been fulfilling these roles and many others throughout history. And so the book that we're going to read today is called Standing on Her Shoulders, A Celebration of Women. It's by Monica Clark Robinson, and it's illustrated by Laura Freeman. It's a brand new book. I'm really excited to share it with you today, but you know me. I want to talk to you for a couple minutes first about this title, Standing on Her Shoulders, because it's based on an expression, standing on the shoulders of giants. And I want to make sure you understand what that means. And so I have my little figures here from my office that I like to play with. When you were a kid, did you ever get to sit or stand on somebody's shoulders? How fun is that? It's awesome because you get to be so high, right? You get to see far and wide with nothing in your way. You can just see straight ahead. And not only that, but you feel safe and secure because somebody strong is holding you and carrying you forward, right? Right. And so standing on the shoulders of giants is an expression that evokes this imagery, but it relates to history if we think about it in this way, that every generation gets to build on the achievements and the progress of the generations before it. So all that we can do, all that we can be, all the technology that we can use, all that we have, and the dreams that we can dream are based on the achievements and the innovations and the struggles of the people that came before us. Right? Right. You know that there was a time before cell phones, before computers, before regular telephones, before televisions and radios and airplanes and cars. And so we really need to be thankful to the generations that came before for all that they have given to us, because we get to take that and take it to a whole nother level with our imagination, with our ingenuity, and all that we can do to make things better for the next generation, right? And so that's kind of what that expression is referring to. And when we think about it in terms of women's history, we think that women today get to enjoy so many rights and benefits that other women through history fought for us to have. So there we're talking about things like the right to vote, the right to own property, the right to get a good education, the right to manage our own money, the right to play organized sports. And even today, women continue to fight for equal pay for equal work. That means getting paid the same amount of money as men for doing the same job. That's still something that we're fighting for today. And these are big things. So these are rights that men have enjoyed in the past, but have denied to women because they didn't feel that women were equal to men. So discriminating against women like that is called sexism. Just like discriminating against people because of their race is called racism, right? So people can be sexist or racist and treat other people unfairly or unkindly because of that. But also policies and laws can be sexist or racist by favoring some people over others. And so I hope that we can all agree that sexism and racism are bad and that we need to fight them on every level. That's what we've been talking about in this program for the last 8 months, right? Right. But things get a little complicated when these issues start to overlap. And I want to give you an example because not all women are the same, right? Women come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and religions and so on and so on. So that means we're going to have different experiences. And so let's get our figures back here. We're going to use me as an example. I'm a woman, but I'm also a Black woman, right? So pretend this is me. And then this is my friend. She's a woman, but she is white, okay? And so because we're women, we're going to experience some sexism out in the world. We might come across a sexist person. We might have to fight some sexist policies at work. We might have to respond to some sexist comments online. And we're going to have to deal with that as women. But as a Black woman, I'm going to have other challenges and experiences that my friend will never know about or understand because of the color of my skin. And that's just the fact of the matter. So I want to give you an example of this type of conflict from women's history. So in 1920, women won the right to vote. That's an amazing achievement because women fought for generations to get that. And just last year, we celebrated in 2020 the 100th anniversary of that achievement. But not a lot of people seem to remember that only white women got the right to vote in 1920. Black women and women of color did not get the right to vote until 1948. That's 28 years that they had to wait to get that right. So that's how it gets a little complicated when we talk about these issues, but it's something to remember when we think about women's history, that not all women have the same experience, right? Right. All right, well, why don't we read this book, Sira? I think we should do that now. Standing on her shoulders. So now you kind of know what that's referring to. Hey, make sure you take a look at these illustrations and all of the women that are depicted here. We're going to talk about them. Come sit with us, child. We have stories to tell. Listen closely. You come from a deep, deep well. Our mothers and all those who've gone before paved a freer path and opened a wider door. See them looking at pictures? There's surely still plenty of work to do, but there's much to learn from what they went through. For we are standing on the shoulders of the strong, smart, sage, and soulful ones who've gone before us. Think of the one who mothers you. She's with you even when you are apart. You are forever a piece of her heart. Speak her name. And the ones who came before her, generations strong, their words sing of grit and love. Your family song. You are standing on their shoulders. Think of the legends whose lives made way for yours. Though years have passed, each story, each name endures. When you speak their names, they live on in you. You are standing on their shoulders, too. Freedom seekers, truth speakers, fierce women brave and wise, justice burning in their eyes. Warriors in the fight, marching for their right, believing in a day when women would have a say. Champions of equality, challengers of authority, peaceful freedom fighters, brave and bold bus riders, magic believers, dream weavers, revolutionary minds, their works echoing through time. Leaders of a new team, dreamers of a new dream, women fighting for their right, athletes of grace and might. Speak their names. Have you recognized anybody yet? Keen and curious explorers, refusing to take orders, women who dared to defy, showing girls another way to fly. We are standing on their shoulders. When we remember them and speak their names, we respect the struggles they overcame. We are grateful for the freedoms they've given. We stand on the shoulders of powerful women. Women who were little once, just like you. When we speak, whisper, sing, and shout their names, we honor their lives and the rights we gained. We are all standing on their shoulders. Who will stand on yours? And then we have, looks like an exhibit in a museum of all the famous women that were featured in this book. And some information about the contributions that they've made to women's history. And so we'll talk about them in a minute. They were women who were activists and authors and athletes and educators and politicians and explorers and leaders. And she tells us to speak their names. She said that over and over again in this book. What did the author mean for us to speak their names? Why should we do that? Well, I think she means that we should learn about them. If we learn about them and we share their stories with other people, and we think about their stories in our heads, and we say their names, then they'll become like a part of us, and they will become inspirations for us, right? Because she says when you speak their names, they live on in you, and you are standing on their shoulders too. And so speaking their names will honor their legacy and give them the respect that they deserve for the work that they did. And let's speak their names. I'm going to tell you who they are and why they're in this book. Okay, the first group are athletes. We have Serena Williams, Megan Rapinoe, Simone Biles, and Chloe Kim. So if you're interested in any of these people, Last month we talked about Black history and how you could learn more about it by reading a book or watching a show or going online and doing some research. You can do the same for these women from history. These athletes are still competing today. You can go online and see some of their great athletic performances right now. But here we have artists: Mary Cassatt, Frida Kahlo, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Faith Ringgold. So you could do some research and see some of their artwork. Faith Ringgold, I love her. She's a quilter, and her pieces are so cool. Next, we have politicians: Hillary Clinton, Deb Haaland, and Shirley Chisholm. And then activists: Fannie Lou Hamer, Rosa Parks, Mary Church Terrell, Jane Addams, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. I'm hoping that you learned about some of these women during Black History Month, or that some of these names sound familiar. Septima Poinsett Clark is an educator. There's a few more on the next page. These are authors: Louisa May Alcott, Maya Angelou, and Zora Neale Hurston. And then explorers: Sacagawea, Bessie Coleman, and Nellie Bly. And the last two are scientists: Inez Mexia and Harriet Chalmers Adams. So I hope that you will do some research and learn about some of these figures, right? But I like that the author told us, or reminded us, that all of these women were once children, right? And that means that you have the potential to grow up and do big things. But guess what? You don't have to be famous to be an inspiration to someone, to be a role model and an example to the next generation. Because in this book, the very number one people that she tells us to honor is our family, right? She says, think of the one who mothers you. That's your mom. And the ones who came before her, your grandmothers and great-grandmothers and aunts. We need to honor them because they are the ones who really work the hardest to make a way for us, right? We are standing on their shoulders. So make sure that they know, that you know, all that they've done to make a good life for you. I think that would be nice. All right, I wanted to tell you that I saw an interview with this author, Monica Clark Robinson, and in it she said that her hope is for families to be inspired to share their stories with each other of women that inspire them and on whose shoulders they stand. And that made me happy because that's the whole point of Family Story Times on Race and Diversity, is for us to have family conversations about important issues. So that's going to be our assignment for this time, is for you to have a conversation with somebody in your family. I'm hoping that you'll be able to speak to somebody who's in an older generation, maybe somebody who's 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years old, and talk to them and find out what changes have happened in their lifetime regarding women's rights. And maybe you can write down a list of questions, pretend to be a reporter, and record your conversation on your phone, or write them down and see what they have to say. What was it like when they were a kid? What was it like for girls when they were younger? And what has changed in their lifetime? I think you will have an interesting conversation and you'll learn a lot. And I have another idea of something you can do to start a conversation. Take a look Got some old photo albums. Did you notice in this book that on almost every page they were looking at pictures, they were taking pictures, they were hanging pictures? So pictures are great conversation starters. And it's so much more fun to look at old pictures, real pictures that you can see and touch. And look, this photo album is straight out of the 1980s. It's mine, and it is fun to look at. Look, you might even see some old black and white pictures. But what's gonna happen when you flip through is you're gonna say, hey, who's that? Where is this? What are these guys doing? Tell me the story behind this picture. And you are gonna have some good conversations, and you're gonna learn a lot, and you're gonna have fun family time together. So I really encourage you to do that. Maybe someone will even pull out some baby books or something else that's fun to look at. Good. All right, well, I wanted to tell you that you don't even have to just talk to women about these things. You can ask men, you can talk to your dad or your grandfather or other family friends, because they've seen the evolution of women's rights through their lifetime too. And the thing about discrimination is that even if it doesn't affect you, a lot of times it affects somebody that you love. And so we all know that boys and men have moms and grandmas. They have friends who are women and girls. And so we all know that women and girls are just as strong, just as smart, just as funny, just as capable as all the boys and men that we know. And so we want everybody to be treated with fairness and respect, right? Right. And that's really what all of the social movements that are going on today are all about, whether we're fighting for women's rights or Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ rights or all of the other social movements. We're fighting for equal rights for everybody, for human rights for everybody. And it just sounds so simple, doesn't it? But we have to keep fighting. So I just want to wrap up today's session with a little message for girls, because I know from my past as a woman, I remember what it's like to be a girl. We all do. And I know that there were times when I held myself back from experiences and opportunities because I lacked self-confidence and self-esteem. And there were times when I felt that I wasn't smart enough or strong enough or capable enough to do some things that I wanted to do and that I should have done. But this is what I want you to know, that as you grow, you learn from your experiences and you get stronger. You get stronger and you find your power in your mind and your body and your spirit. And that helps you to push on and move forward. So be courageous, follow your own path. Know that you are standing on the shoulders of great women. And do not let your sex or your race or your religion or the way you identify or anything about you hold you back. Do you and dream big. And just know that the next generation is coming up behind you, and they're going to be looking at you as the example. And someday, someone's going to be saying your name. It's true, and it's going to be amazing. Hey, I'm going to leave you with some peace and love. Take some and pass it on, and take good care of yourselves. Stay well, and I'll see you next month for Family Story Times on Race and Diversity. Take care.